And just, I mean, this, for what? Look at this, crashing into vehicles. 1, 2, 3 innocent motorists, just dragging them along through the intersection at Bellflower Boulevard, passing through Bellflower on 7th Street, going the wrong way again. He has no regard for any of this oncoming traffic, trying to get around and crashing into everybody and everything in his way. Battling the double yellow lines, crashing into another vehicle. That flatbed is made of steel that is just doing tremendous damage with very little damage to the vehicle other than the front end damage that we're already seeing there. But what we were saying, Mark, is that front left, oh no, there it is! There it is! 2 vehicles into cross traffic, a major collision into the front of a paint store at the strip mall at 7th Street and Terminal Avenue, ramming right through those 2 vehicles, the driver stepping out of the vehicle and now walking away from the crash scene.
Oh, a little silence. Here's another. I don't know why it stopped. That's the crash in Hemet. Oh, here was another nasty crash in Hemet, caught by Hemet iNews, Action iNews. Why does this thing keep stopping? George's page with that. Give it another shot. There it is. There's a big truck and kaboom.
Yes. In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants. Yeah, this country's been great to us. My brother and sister all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America. And there are a lot of good people in the system that pointed this in this direction. I want to honor them right now, that work in the government today, who took risks to show us these numbers and tell us what's going on. Yeah. So I want to stop for a minute. I want to honor those people today. Very good people. Very good people. I have been from D.C. to Social Security offices to the border to track this down, and very good people have helped us along the way. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
The Doge dudes, Greg, shatter the Democrat narrative?
I have to hand it to Bret Baier and Special Report. That's like the best thing I've ever seen on this network. It sounds like an exaggeration, but I was. I'm sorry, Jesse.
Seriously.
Yeah, Water's World was right up there.
Shows.
But if you want to learn how government works and why following the money tells you everything about incentives, self-preservation, fraud, and in this case, patriotism, because all of those guys are not doing it for the money. They're doing it for the country. I'm pretty politically aware. I didn't know about that mine in Pennsylvania until Doge. I had no idea. That's like, you're living in an apartment and you want to go check on the heating. So you go down to the basement and you find an old guy shoveling coal.
Driver who's having the conversation.
Yeah. So I'm not, Welcome to the WWE, folks on wheels.
No fool. He's going to leave his helmet on. Labastus has his off, taking his steering wheel. He's going to chuck his steering wheel at him here in a minute. And then he does just that. I haven't seen this since a NASCAR race. Oh! Punishing in that helmet, Tom.
Connection of pornography to transgenderism. But I want to talk about this from the young female perspective, which is kind of the opposite. The pornography of today that many children are being exposed to, it's not like accidentally finding like your dad's Playboy magazine. This is hardcore, often violence, and even heavily sexist imagery and videos that little boys and girls are being exposed to. And a lot of the young women in here today can attest to this, that it's one of the many things that made us want to escape from our femininity.
Trump administration is threatening to yank federal education dollars from California over its policies related to trans athletes and students. This all comes after Governor Gavin Newsom said on his podcast, the issue of trans athletes and girls and women's sports is deeply unfair. Now, U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon is telling him to prove it.
Would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. It is an issue of fairness. So it's deeply unfair.
would you speak?
The issue of fairness is completely legit. So I completely align with you. And we've got to own that. We've got to acknowledge it.
Weeks after Governor Gavin Newsom said this on his podcast, the Trump administration is now following up. The governor's office confirmed Friday it received this letter from U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon. In it, she wrote, "Take a stand on your convictions."
Justin Allgaier is there. Will there be contact? There is. There goes Gray. Here comes Allgaier. Austin Hill out of nowhere. It's going to win. Oh my goodness. Gordonsville. Do you believe that? With a huge crash at the start-finish line.
The idea that we can't even have a conversation with the other side.
You have to. They won.
Thank you. That's it. Bottom line. And by the way, or the notion we just have to continue to talk to ourselves, or we're in the same damn echo chamber. These guys.
Right. And the purpose for my selling them was not for the money. Clearly it was for the money, but the purpose of the use of the money to pursue this dream of this astrophysics, to find God's particle in your human body, to activate your immune system. That was the purpose of this money. And that's all I've done with the money. I spent about $3 billion of this money. I've not gotten one penny from the government.
Mr. Speaker, the California Center for Jobs and the Economy has just released an absolutely stunning report that shows how deeply Governor Gavin Newsom has driven our state's economy into the ground. Among the findings was that for the month of January, job growth in our state was, well, non-existent. The number of net jobs that were added to the California economy was exactly zero. For the
Community activists had called for not only the male student seen fighting with a female student to be expelled from school, but they also wanted him arrested on hate crime charges. But the boy's mother always said his side of the story was not being told. And now the district attorney has made their decision. He will not be charged. The cell phone video recorded at a Colton middle school quickly went viral. In it, a male student appears to be fighting with a female student, both of them teenagers. What it does...
What would you like to say to President Trump and Elon Musk? I respect you. I trust you. You've given me no reason not to trust you, either one of them. What they say, I can't say what they say. I haven't lived that. But I have no reason not to believe anything they say because they've earned my trust. And for that, I am grateful that our national leaders actually are coming in and taking part in our human spaceflight program, which we see is hugely important global significance, and they take an active role. And based on the past and what we see now, with them doing that, it's refreshing, not just refreshing, it's empowering, it's strengthening for our nation. I think it's a good thing for our nation when the national leaders, especially something that's high visibility, are involved in the process.
Yes. There you see the In-N-Out Burger boarded up, first one ever in Oakland, California. Sad day indeed.
We are ending the era of endless wars. In its place is a renewed, clear-eyed focus on defending America's vital interests. It is not the duty of U.S. troops to solve ancient conflicts in faraway lands that many people have never even heard of. We are not the policemen of the world, but let our enemies be on notice. If our people are threatened, we will never, ever hesitate to act. And when we fight, from now on, we will only fight to win.
It honors the life and legacy of Cesar Chavez, a leader who fought for justice, dignity, and fairness for farm workers and working families everywhere.
Alongside Dolores Huerta, Chavez championed the power of service and collective action.
Chavez led the 300-mile march from Delano to right here in Sacramento to
Country School Live. Guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5 or close to it. Evil Lippy Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, all that stuff will be joining the Mighty Met, 1490 AM. As we usually do at the bottom of the hour. At 5:30, hopefully we'll have Dr. Kelly Victory on. She had a meeting, but she said she probably will get in. If not, we'll have her on later in on the weeko as we go. Oh, my. What a weekend. Trump, no wars. Just came out today. Gavin Newsom missed a few things on Cesar Chavez. Hopefully we'll get to that, or no, we'll get to it later in the week. On that, how about the car crashes? That one where that truck was just, that 1-ton truck was just blowing people out of the way. And then that nasty one there in Hemet that Eddie George caught, or got a hold of. On that, the illegal alien Social Security fraud caught by the Doge boys. It's absolutely, and for them, for the people that are criticizing them of that, maybe hopefully when Dr. Kelly comes on, we'll get a Chloe Cole's little snippet there of showing the link between pornography and this whole tranny deal, especially dealing with young girls and boys, and what your kids are really being exposed to. It's beyond criminal on that. The whole Gavin Newsom with the Bill Maher thing of where he's trying to get on, he's trying to become a JFK Democrat is what he's trying to do. And we had some of that on iNews, where John F. Kennedy was probably the last real Democratic president that was elected, and Newsom's trying to do that. And Bill Maher, what a fraud. I mean, he comes across sometimes with a couple good things, but he's asking Gavin Newsom, who has fouled up California for 20 years, to run for president. Bill Maher is going to spar with Trump and Maher going to spar. Sounds better. Kid Rock got them together and said, hey, you need to be on Bill Maher. So Trump agreed. So there's going to be a Bill Maher interview with Trump. That ought to be interesting. On that, the astronauts, both of them that got rescued by Elon Musk, the Doge boys, and all that, not NASA, are internally grateful that Donald J. Trump is president, that they're not stranded up there in the space station like the evil Harris Biden crew had them. Zero job growth in California. Zero. All this job, fifth year largest economy. We're in debt up to our eyeballs. We spent $33 billion on a train to nowhere. On the absolute stupidest thing you can do all across the board, and we've been through that 10 gazillion times. Pat Soon-Shawn on this whole vaccine cancer deal and how we've been going about this the whole wrong way on that. Maybe we'll touch on that with Dr. Kelly too as we go. Let's roll through. This is just the weekend. Some of the stuff. Mind you, this is just some of the stuff that went on. Off-highway vehicle bust in Nuevo. This one was great. Pomona Winter Nationals were this weekend. Clay McMillan stomped the crap out of Tony Stewart in the top fuel run. Fast Jack Beckman netted John Force's 300th funny car win. Most of them by John Force. He got injured in a crash not too long ago. 300 funny car wins in NHRA. Nobody ever dreamed that would be possible, that one team could amass that many, but John Force Racing did it and is continuing to do it, even on fire. Didn't crash this time. And Greg Anderson, 16th win at Pomona in Pro Stock, gutted Dallas Glenn for the umpteenth time on that. He's flat dominated Pro Stock for the ages on that. There's the deal. John F. Kennedy would be the last. Lower taxes, Second Amendment guy, wanted to get us out of the wars. What else? I mean, he'd be to the right of Donald J. Trump. There's the one, Trump and Maher due to spar. They're going to do an interview. That ought to be interesting. In custody death, this is Monday, in Riverside County, officials said no foul play was expected, but one man did die in the Robert Presley jail, downtown Riverside, on that. Yes, it does. It makes a huge difference to have someone who believes in you. Marietta drug and theft bust. I think that was early Saturday morning. You got to check out the Marietta cops' posts on Facebook of that. They're whoever the humor writer's back on there is that absolutely great. You know, if you fire off guns, you will attract the attention of the Purdue cops on that. Attorney General Rob B.S. Bonta cleared law enforcement in the Anthony and Savannah Graziano shootings. That's where Anthony Graziano killed his wife, then went on a rampage of chase up to Las Vegas, back down, and ended in Hesperia, where cops both shot and killed Anthony and Savannah. Rob Bonta cleared them both of any wrongdoing. Arrests on sexual assault charges in Paris. Attempted murder, gang enhancement, child endangerment, arrest in Lake Elsinore. Fire erupts in Riverside. Well, it's fire too. Fire erupts in Riverside County courts on that. Prop 36 arrest in Rancho Cucamonga. It's working. Guy riding his bicycle will let you, maybe, possibly a vagrant, was riding his bicycle. Cops popped him on the 36, and voila, he had drugs in his possession. Be on the lookout. Attempt to identify somebody with credit card and identity theft in Corona, California. And that's just some of the stuff that went on in the Inland Empire over the weekend since we were last on Friday. What a deal. See where we want to pick up on the stories of the day. Bill Malhusian, see if I can find it. He had a report on what was going on with the illegals. Oh, there was a new court ruling up there in San Francisco trying to block the great Donald J. Trump's order to deport about 350,000 of them that the Harris-Biden administration flew in. Mind you, flew in. You can't make this stuff up. I wish you could. I wish we could say ollie ollie oxen of that. But they really, really, really had to stretch. I mean, they're trying to do everything possible by the courts to stop all the good things Trump is doing. Wanted to get to this. CBS, The Eye, Margaret Brennan and all the neurotic chick who does CBS Face the Nation. She wasn't in this week, I guess. They had Major Garrett in. But they had this to say. This is their latest polling on Trump. You've heard all this. Oh, Trump, not favorable rating. Majority of the people don't like Trump. It And the first part of it, they tried to do that.
Absolutely right. This is a story about balance. And the things that are going well in the public mind for him is his handling of immigration, which is still net positive, and his deportation program is still net positive.
Still, 1.5 to 1 almost 60-40. Deport immigrants who are illegally in the U.S. Not criminals. Not, oh, well, or I spent 35 years here and I just ain't got around to doing the paperwork. All of them.
Still some buoyancy for the president. He's not collapsing by any stretch of the imagination. And it appears one of the reasons is satisfaction with aggressiveness on immigration.
Absolutely right. This is a story about balance. And the things that are going well in the public mind for him is his handling of immigration, which is still in balance. And the things that are...
Did you notice anything in there? They didn't say Trump's 50-50 at CBS. Rasmussen has had him plus since the day he was sworn in. They do. Rasmussen's the only one that does, I believe, that I know of, that does a daily tracking poll of whatever president is in office. I think they've been doing it for 20 years. Daily tracking poll hasn't been below 50% since Inauguration Day. Notice they didn't even say anything. They've been trying to run these phony polls out there saying, oh, people don't approve. It's absolutely bananas.
Are going well in the public mind for him is his handling of immigration, which is still net positive, and his deportation program is still net positive and pop.
They don't say 16 points. Almost 1.5 to 1, almost 60-40. To deport immigrants here illegally, not just criminals.
People say, well, they don't think it'd be okay if there are legal residents who were mistakenly detained in this program, although there are some in his base who do. But you look at other aspects of this, like cuts to the federal workforce. That continues to be split, but you then also see a majority of people saying, well, that might impact programs that they care about. Even over a third of Republicans think that may happen. Again, a key measure to watch. And look, in terms of how this ties back then to that uncertainty in the economy.
Notice they get a third of Republicans when it works in the narrative they want to try to put out. They spent more time on the negative parts of the poll or things that they perceive as negative. I haven't gotten to crosstabs and seen how they ask the question. That's a big way on how they do this. The bottom line, two things. Trump is at his all-time high. Majority of Americans approve of the job Donald J. Trump is doing as the 47th president of the United States. They are still supporting deporting of people in the country illegally and unlawfully by a 1.5 to 1 or almost. This is consistent across everybody's poll, no matter how you ask it. It's 60-40 deport. And that's not just criminals. Everyone. That's amazing to see, because you would have, the way the polls have been going in the last decade or so, that's a monumental shift. Monumental. I want to get more into the Doge crew that's actually been working on the Social Security fraud. Nobody. I don't, well, there's probably, maybe you could find 3 people, 0.1% out of 350 million in the United States. Say, yeah, you cut off Social Security to whomever. People who are legitimately entitled to Social Security should be getting it. That should be retirees over 65, period. The Social Security, as much as they've stolen 18 trillion or so dollars out of it, that's what over half of the 36 trillion we owe in national debt is owed to the Social Security Trust Fund. I think it's about 20 billion. It's over half. So when you get to Social Security should be, we should be eliminating all the people off of Social Security that are getting into 25 or something or other. We could have a separate program that's got a disability with different requirements. It should not be under the Social Security system if we're going to do that. We should have disability insurance for workers, yada, yada, yada. We do. We have overlapping programs in this, and this is how this stuff gets ridiculously confused. Here's picking up where we left off on the intro on the Social Security. Well, defrauding. That what the Doge boys have discovered, here we go,
is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid. They'll give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview. Then you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border, they do what's called a release your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, a notice to appear, which to appear to judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges. There's only 700 of them. This is 5.5 million people, okay? So what happens then? Once you're in the country and you got asylum through one of these pathways, and we map the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765, it's the work form. You get this form called the 766, that's the authorization, and then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview, no ID.
This is worth just reiterating. It's not people sometimes think that under the Biden administration that he was simply asleep at the switch. He wasn't asleep, they weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people and make it a permanent, deep blue, one-party state from which there would be no escape.
What have I told you a gazillion, million, thousand, 10 bazillion times? Don't let the cancer of California roll across the 57 states as Obama has declared when he was El Presidente. This is what they did to California. This was what the whole illegal immigration thing was for. And calling us racist under 187. Then that's what 187 was put on the ballot and passed by a 60-40 margin for Felser. And the loonies got control of everything and botched it up. No racism. I don't care. David Laratellis, Elena Baca Santa Cruz, Manny Perez, Navarro brothers, Jose Medina, Extian Gutierrez. Please come in here and sit in the seats, and I'll give you as much time as you want to make your case, because you seem to be making this case. And you're proposing to take our tax dollars again and do exactly what the Biden-Harris regime is doing and what Musk and the Doge boys are uncovering. This happens. They perfected this in California, the motor voter, the voter fraud, the one house, 23 votes coming out of it, the ballot harvesting, the 30-day election to vote, and the 30-day count. We have a 60-day frickin' election cycle. Look, they flipped 3 seats in the House of Representatives, and we should have won a 4th, the Katie Porter seat. That's 4 more critical seats we should have right now to help get the Trump agenda, the America First agenda, the MAGA agenda through Congress. This all was played out, laid out, executed, started with Poppy Bush in '89 when he sent Gerald Parsky into California when he got to be president to destroy the Republican Party in California. You got the Stutzmans and now the Mike Madrids and that whole crew, the spokesmans, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, Jim Brulte, all screwed California. They were part of the team. So I say establishment Republicans are much more dangerous than Democrats because they appear, oh, we're freedom and liberty, we're for your individual rights, Second Amendment rights, while behind the scenes, they're selling you under the workbench. More from the Doge team. And Elon, here we go.
Look, if I hadn't seen this myself, I'm not sure I'd have believed it. I went through it myself and mapped it. And Elon is right. This is true. The defaults in the system from Social Security to all of the benefit programs have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these people, and minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million.
Let that sink in. Max payout, minimum identification, or ask questions to people in the country illegally. That's from a dude who was an immigrant to this country, whose parents immigrated to this country when he was a kid.
Of them already on Medicaid, as an example. We've gone through, on every benefit program we went through, we found groups from this particular group of people, this 5.5 million people in those benefit programs. And then what was really, really disturbing us was why. We're asking ourselves why. Right. And so we actually just took a sample and looked at voter registration records. And we found people here registered to vote in this population, yes.
And who did vote.
And we found some by sampling that actually did vote. And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service.
Yeah.
Already, that is already happening.
Already on Medicaid. What do we have? The California deal. Medi-Cal broke. Oh, Newsom last year. Oh, we're in anybody in the country. If you're here illegally, unlawfully, we're covering your medical expenses. Oh, it's only going to cost $6 billion a year. Now it's up to 12. Now we're out with our tin cup trying to borrow $6 billion to pay for 1 year's. They blew it by 100%, by twice, just in 1 year. That's on top of the ones. Who knows? Maybe they were double dipping. Maybe they're getting federal Medicare, California Medicaid. I hope we're going to have so many federal courts. One thing they're going to have to expand is the Attorney General's office. They're going to need to hire attorneys and staff and personnel up the kazoo. Because this is exactly 1,000% of what we have been dealing with on an ongoing basis for way too long. It's beyond criminal. But like we said, this started in California. All these steps the Doge boys, Elon, and stuff are uncovering now, few of us have been waving the red flags out there saying, hey, Alt, Peligro, Alto, stop. That your guys are going to kill us. And, you know, you might be thinking, oh, yeah, you might be in Texas or Kansas or Indy, South Carolina. Yeah, them dumb Californians. Yeah, they've invaded your spot. Look at how they've wrecked your energy market down there in Texas. Look at your electricity system. You followed the California model. Oh, green energy, solar. It's coming. If we don't, this is, and as I say, hopefully we're putting the brakes on the runaway train, and hopefully there's enough brake pad material to slow the train from crashing before the brakes blow up and the thing crashes at the bottom of the hill. But we're dangerous. That's what Elon keeps saying. And these guys keep saying, the Doge boys, everybody across the line. This stuff is hyper critical. It's like when the Five and Gutfeld was saying, hey, I didn't even know this. These are the guys most of you have been listening to, especially your center right, if you've been listening to Fox News or the Wall Street Journal or whatever. They've been going along with this. In fact, Fox has been basically anti-Trump. Anti-MAGA. You know, we absolutely better not get cold feet, not back up. Because we're this close from going in that fork in the road of going, or oh, man, we're going to turn this thing around and get it back. The great Ashley Zavala of KCRA3 about Trump administration, Linda McMahon, the hopefully soon to be deader than a doornail Federal Department of Education, said, hey, you better not have boys, men, and girls, women's sports or locker rooms or anything else, or we're cutting off your federal funding. Here's a report. We thought.
Weeks after Governor Gavin Newsom said this on his podcast, the Trump administration is now following up. The governor's office confirmed Friday it received this letter from U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon. In it, she wrote, "Take a stand on your convictions." She urged him to call on California lawmakers to support a bill being heard next week that would no longer allow trans athletes in girls' and women's sports. McMahon wrote, As Secretary of Education, I am officially asking you to inform this department whether you will remind schools in California to comply with federal law by protecting sex-separated spaces and activities. I am also officially asking you to publicly assure parents that California teachers will not facilitate the fantasy of gender transitions for their children. A spokesman for Governor Newsom said he's now reviewing the letter. It's the latest in a series of threats over education funding from President Trump's administration.
I'm waiting for... Where's that 50 million they approved at the legislature in Newsom for B.S. Rob Bonta to be suing the Trump administration? I'm waiting for the lawsuit to fly, Bonta. Or the mouthing off of Newsom when he had to admit it in the Charlie Kirk interview. Says, hey, we're really fouling this deal up. We're on the wrong side of this. It's absolutely critical that we no longer tolerate the stupidity. This is why Newsom's saying this and the now famous clip going all across the social media wars. This is Maher and Newsom. Can't wait for the Maher-Trump one. Now, hope it's an hour. Be fascinating.
Conversation with the other side? You have to. They won. Thank you. That's it. Bottom line. And by the way, or the notion we just have to continue to talk to ourselves or we're in the same damn echo chamber. These guys are crushing us. The Democratic brand is toxic right now. We had a high water mark 2 weeks ago, and that was a CNN poll at 29% favorability. It's dropped in the NBC poll down to 27%. It's one thing to make noise, but you also have to make sense. And I think with this podcast and having the opportunity to dialogue with people I disagree with, it's an opportunity to try to find common ground and not take cheap shots. I'm not looking to put a spoke in the wheel of their, or at least a crowbar in the spokes of their wheel to trip them up, to your point. And I think it's important. Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. This notion of cancel culture, you've been living it. You've been on the receiving end of it for years and years and years. That's real. And Democrats need to own up to that. They've got to.
It's about, and he is. The Democrats who say, oh, fairness and trannies and this and that, and a bunch of evil white boys, all that, they're the judgmental ones. They're the ones that have practiced racism and sexism. Look at Chloe Cole. And the whole thing. And the notifications and not telling parents and trying to drag shows for grade schoolers. People have finally, maybe, have had enough. I don't know. Maybe not. We shall see. But it's beyond critical. I mean, the latest example, we had it Friday when it came out. The whole deal of Corey Jackson. Again, trying to be a tough guy, trying to think he's going to go after Carl DeMaio this time. Because Carl DeMaio was saying exactly what was right. What the history was of Cesar Chavez, which it's Cesar Chavez Day today. The farm worker, United Farm Workers head, who was against illegal immigration because it was undercutting the farm workers that we brought over under the Union Inhumane Treatment under the Bracero program, which, if you don't know about that, that was a program we had. Okay, you came up from Mexico or wherever, Guatemala, El Salvador. You made 3 or 4 months when they needed you in the fields, and you worked the fields, and you went back. You made enough money to live 8 months like a king back in your area. I mean, you worked your ass off hard for 4 months, got to go back, man, you got an 8-month vacation. It's a pretty good deal, really. Worked for everybody. It was the Democrats working with the rich farm workers who didn't want to pay union wages to United Farm Workers and Cesar Chavez that basically blew that program, really undercut the United Farm Workers, and the reason there has been illegal immigration, and reason why after the 86, when they talked Reagan into signing the amnesty to everybody that was here, okay, ollie, ollie, oxen, but it won't happen again. Well, how did that work out? Again, Elena Baca Santa Cruz, David Laratellis, Extian Gutierrez, Jose Medina, Victor Manuel Perez, Little Stevie Hernandez, Yadra Perez, any of you, Joanna Leyva, all you elected officials that think I'm wrong, or I will give you as much time to make your case. Do like Gavin Newsom says, you can't roll in an echo chamber. If you're rolling in an echo chamber, we're going to crash this whole thing. Eggs won't be $12 a dozen. You won't be able to get them. There will be none on the shelves. Look at how quickly Argentina turned around under Milley in 6 months. They got rid of hyperinflation. People are being hired. Got rid of government employees. They're now working in the private sector. Argentina is thriving. I don't know how you can make this stuff work without having a little bit of common sense and let's apply a little bit of logic to this stuff. Here's the press enterprise. This is a story we had Friday when it came out. Corey Jackson, I'm no medical doctor giving medical advice, but he has some serious issues. He's attacked people, gone way over the bounds. Moreno Valley, Paris, San Jacinto, some of Hemet, Nuevo, Romoland. Are you proud that Corey Jackson, representing you, I'm not, I've worked hard the last 2 times trying to defeat him. When are more people going to come on board? When is Bill Young of RSA really going to step up to the plate, or Sheriff Chad Bianco? Quit playing on the margins, quit screwing around, let's get some good candidates. You guys got a record. Why don't you come in here and defend it? You've allowed Corey Jackson at least to serve 4 years as our representative out here, or you played a big part in it. So where is the remedy? Again, please, come on in and let's talk about it. Lori Stone, the new chair of Riverside County. Come on in. How did we lose the 3rd supervisor seat? Plus 90 gazillion Republican, and we got a Democrat, Chuck Washington, reelected 27 times in the Temecula Valley, where your councilwoman, brother's been longtime Politico, you guys have been running campaigns, you've been running losing campaigns for many years. This is a problem with Republicans. No guts. That's why it's not it should not be a Republican movement. It should be a MAGA movement. It should be a Trump movement. should be on the principles of free market, on Milton Friedman, on principles that work. We know what works. It's about high time we got on the stick and really buckled down, because 26 is going to be Joe critical. Because if California stays on this pace, it would almost be impossible. The rest of the nation could recover, and California will drag the rest of this nation down. Unless you want, if you want a better America, you better pay more attention to fixing what Kevin Kiley, representative from Rockland, the House of Representatives, Rockland, California, said on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, the California Center for Jobs and the Economy has just released an absolutely stunning report that shows how deeply Governor Gavin Newsom has driven our state's economy into the ground. Among the findings was that for the month of January, job growth in our state was, well, non-existent. The number of net jobs that were added to the California economy was exactly 0 for the month of January. By comparison, Texas added 27,900, Florida added 16,500, even New York added 20,100.
That statistic right there goes to show you how influential California is. Even as good as the next 3 biggest states are adding jobs, California is still stalling the economy. We've got to get rid of AB 32 and the cap and trade. We've got to drill, baby, drill. The biggest place you could drill, baby, drill for natural gas and oil is the state of California. California should be energy independent. We should produce. We only produce 25% of the oil that we burn every day. We could produce 100. We could produce 100+%. We could be a net exporter of oil. We could be a net exporter of natural gas. We are import. We could be an exporter of electricity, especially if we would start on a nuclear power plant building spree from San Diego to Eureka. We could probably power everything west of the Mississippi, just on the West Coast. Probably in 10 years, I'll give it 20. With absolutely almost the cheapest, cleanest, 24/7 reliable energy source man has ever known. All these things get into the culmination of that. You heard the dude astronaut saying, "Thank God for Trump. I trust him." Biden and Harris had us stranded for 9 months on the space station. Couldn't get up there to get us. Trump and Elon got us out of there in 2 months. They're making the transition, which takes you a little while to get acclimated back to Earth after you've been up in space for a while. Here's the lady astronaut, what she had to say after coming home. Here we go. Oh, we should go.
Allowed a lot of people, including the president and Elon, to look at what's going on the International Space Station, take it very seriously, and understand that our involvement as a country, as a spacefaring nation, is really important throughout the world. And it sets an example, and it shows, you know, our ability to be able to do the hard things, put people in space, operate in space, work in space, and then bring us back. It's important, and I appreciate that them and many more people took notice of it.
What would NASA, the once great space agency, paralyzed to hardly doing nothing? If it wasn't for Musk and SpaceX, we'd probably be taken over in the space race by Russia and China already. NASA by far was once the world leader. In space exploration, travel, technology. Hopefully we get back there again. Man, boy, my voice is trying to go out today. Maybe I finally, after 63 years, I've talked too much. I don't remember. I think once, maybe about 30 years ago, I had my, didn't go completely out. It's just kind of hard to talk. But I know some people are rooting for the day that happens. Applauding, waiting for that day. But it hasn't happened yet. Again, this is a sad scene. The once proud In-N-Out Burger in Oakland, California, busy, I think down the street. People from the Kaiser Hospital used to go there all the time. Boarded up, no sign, no activity. No double doubles, animal style, fries or strawberry shakes. Nothing. First In-N-Out Burger closed over crime, safety of the ones that work there. The Kaiser Hospital told their employees, hey, don't go outside, bring your lunch in or have it delivered. It's unsafe to go outside. They're like a block down the road. This is the insanity. The insanity. Of stupid policies, of government control policies. That's why you have to fight with every fiber of your body. To get these to absolutely 1000% get rid of the stupidity. And it can happen just that quick, like Argentina, like here, like egg prices. Start growing hens. Start importing some eggs from somewhere until you temporarily get some more. Stop killing 100 million chickens for no reason. They didn't kill one. In Canada and Mexico, we killed 100 million in the United States.
All right, I am here, Roy. We are about 30 seconds out.
You got it. There's Sean. We'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET. Of that, we'll see if Dr. Kelly gets out of her meeting. If she is, she'll call in. She usually does on a Monday. And we'll pick up with either her or more of the interesting tidbits. The stuff. Again, the picture of the closed, boarded up, first closed In-N-Out Burger in Oakland because they couldn't provide for safety for the patrons. And
here we go, 10 seconds.
Absolutely.
oddesigns.com. And remember to use code LOUSHOW and get 10% off your order.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a series of names expressed as program producers and not endorsed by the station. Expressed not necessarily those of radio station KMED, management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky live guitar music. Done every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join our vast video audience and Evil Hippie Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, all that good stuff. Check us out, subscribe, all that. And if you ever want to check out this broadcast or any of the archives, you can. They're all on there, most of them. YouTube's sketchy, but we just love irritating those folks at the Evil G Network. Hopefully we'll be getting a rein in on all those folks. All the stuff that went on in the Inland Empire. No charges in that school fight case in Purdue. And if you want to track the Purdue cops, just fire some shots out. They'll come a-running. And you'll probably go to jail. Of that Rancho Cucamonga, found out Prop 36 works. Dude riding a bicycle down the road eventually got popped for drugs and just going to jail. You think that would have happened before 36? Maybe we're getting stuff turned around. Hopefully, of that. Attorney General Rob Bonta cleared the law enforcement officers in the Graziano shootings that went a couple years ago in Temecula, where the dad shot the wife and went from Vegas to here and wound up in that. They cleared, the Attorney General Rob Bonta cleared the law enforcement officers off-highway bust in Nuevo Murrieta. And you got to check out their Facebook page. Their posts are actually great. They did a drug bust on that, of that, but you got to watch their writings. They're absolutely hilarious of that. Fights in Riverside Court. The Winter Nationals wonder in Pomona, the NHRA drag racing. 300 fast Jack Beckman delivered John Force Racing the 300th funny car victory, something you would have never dreamed would have happened. Most of them by John Force, but he got hurt last year. That at 75, he finally had to give up driving a funny car, which is amazing in itself. Who would have thought you'd had 300 wins? It's absolutely record that will, well, you can't say never be broken, but man, oh man, oh man, that's got to be something. And it happened right here at his home track, probably the only drag strip left for more Force starters racing in SoCal. Man, it's that one of the joyous things that happened here on that for all the racing fans going on. The NASCAR one of that. And we'll get into the more maybe tomorrow or the next deal. We had the NASCAR crash on our opening, but we'll see. That has a lot. It's a reflection of what has happened in our society. It's something, there's a lack of respect all across the board that we have allowed to happen. And hopefully one day we will not allow it to happen again, or we will correct it. Because if one of the big things, and one of the easiest way a totalitarian dictator, Idi Amin, Joe Stalin, Hitler, does is get the mass populi to distrust, not respect their fellow human, and then get them fighting amongst each other or distrusting, and then you can control them. It's one of the great tactics of all time. Hegelism. Create a crisis where one doesn't exist and then walk in with the solution. The Doge boys, Elon have found that with Social Security with the latest going through the fraud that in Social Security and everything, and the Medicare, the national Medicare fraud. Oh, you know, all them 30 million that came in? The Harris Biden administration made it easier to get on Medicaid. Easy to get a Social Security number, and don't check the records. Just send them the checks. It reflected in our California, where Newsom did the same with Medi-Cal. So, everybody's covered, whether you're in the country legally, illegally, lawfully, unlawfully. Oh, it's only going to cost $6 billion a year. Oh, we can handle that. Now it's up to 12. We got to try to figure out. Now we're in a big budget deficit. We had to figure out how to borrow, beg, steal $6 billion to cover it in the first year. Now they're finding the same thing the Doge boys was going on with the Biden administration. This whole thing can be summed up as don't let the cancer of California roll across the whole nation. Because they test pilot this stuff. They perfected the voter fraud, the climate change, AB 32, jack the gas prices up, stop drilling, export your trash to China. Oh, paper bags are bad. We're coming up with these plastic bags. Oh, plastic bags are bad. We have to go back to the paper bags. Remember with the plastic, oh, you know, the thin bags were killing the seals. Now they went to the thicker bags, and those are even worse. How many times do we have to follow stupidity before we figure out it ain't going to work? Sad state of affairs. But there is hope, like the Doge guy said, who was an immigrant himself, whose family immigrated. He said, hey, this is not about this is not about legal immigration. This is about flat out fraud, dishonesty, and outright theft of your money. Might be legalized theft, but it's theft. You know, the old saying, taxation is theft. They gotta, if it isn't for the force of the firearm, taxation doesn't work. You know, they use the firearm. If you don't pay your taxes, they send the lawman over with a firearm, put you in handcuffs, convict you, put you in jail. So this is the absolute critical thing. And what I've said, they modeled all this stuff. Motor voter. Oh, you just register everybody. Everybody gets to vote. The whole global warming, climate change, we're all going to die of diesel smoke. Mary Nichols, the fraud that started right here in the Inland Empire, right here in Riverside in 1972. Oh, we're all going to die of pollution. Oh, sued the city of Riverside or the federal government or something. Started all this crap. She got a hold of CARB, president of California Air Resources Board, 10 years ago or so. Put it absolute to get AB 32, the climate bill, through and get all this stuff chopped up and gas prices highest in the nation. Phony report. That was almost 10 years ago, I think. Now we got a building in the California Air Resources Board on Iowa Street, down in Riverside, right by the now evil University of California, Riverside, educating all the stupids over there. Once great agricultural one of the premier agricultural universities in the world, is now a cesspool of corruption and deceit. Oh no, we're going to make medical this and we're going to do that and we're going to stop the pollution, we're going to do this. Stood up and said 15, 20 years ago, you're going to rue the day you brought all these fruitcakes into the UCR. They will take over and screw us all. Yet that has happened. One of the biggest things that's happened, and this is Cesar Chavez Day, the famed head of United Farm Workers Union, back in the day, 50s and 60s, we had what was called the Bracero program. We would bring people up from Mexico, South America, 3 or 4 months work in the fields, whatever, send them back. They would live like, for what they would make, hard work, very difficult, work their rear ends off for 3 or 4 months. They go back to Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, and live like kings for 8 months. Basically an 8-month vacation. The Democrats and the farmers destroyed that. This is one of the big emphasis, or the beginning of the impetus of why we have illegal immigration for 40, 50, 60 years. Ever since the great Operation Wetback, as it was called, when Eisenhower deported them all and tried cleaning this stuff up in the 50s, they got with the farmers because they didn't want to pay the United Farm Workers wage. So they backdoored, and the Democrats backdoored immigrants to come out the border illegally. Came to a head in 86 when they were pouring across like crazy, and then Reagan was at the end of his second term, or getting close, and signed the amnesty bill for immigration, saying, okay, and they convinced him to do it, which he should not have done. Like the Second Amendment ban he signed in 86. Said the same thing, oh, just do it once and we won't have to do it again. That'll be it. Close to 40 years. Probably another 50 million have come into this country illegally. It's absolute crying shame. Of what we have allowed in our society over this. And Newsom tries to run the crocodile tears and, oh, we're going for this, and he doesn't mention any of this stuff. With wifey Jenny Poo on this. Here's some more.
On our tables was harvested by the people denied their most basic rights.
That historic march ignited a movement that led to one of the most successful boycotts in history, rallying a nation and inspiring generations to demand dignity and fairness for all workers.
California is investing to keep workers safe.
What a bunch of lying sacks of ish. They have worked to destroy the exact thing, the exact policies, the legacy, the United Farm Workers, illegal immigration. The first thing they destroyed was the Bracero program and basically put the United Farm Workers almost out of business. But they're keeping you safe. They're keeping workers safe. Anything by far from it. They are the slave owners, the slave masters, because that's why they love illegal immigrants. They can pay them less because all they got to say is, oh, you don't want to work 80 hours a week for 30 hours pay? Guess what? You're going back to Guatemala or El Salvador. The dripping disingenuousness of what they're saying is absolutely tragic.
And remember, California labor laws apply equally to all workers, no matter their immigration status.
We honor Cesar Chavez's legacy, both in remembrance, but also in action.
Oh, they may apply technically as written. They are not enforced as written. Because exactly the ones, the workers, everybody, oh, they're not going to pick your fruit or whatever. No. Why don't we reinstitute the Bracero program? Why don't we bring them in under the United Farm Workers Union under that program for a specific amount of time to do a specific task? They're treated humanely. They're getting $1 pay for $1 work. No. These clowns want to keep them the permanent slave class. That's why they let them stay here for 20, 30, 40 years. Unlawfully and illegally, because they got the hammer on them. They are the ultimate evil control artists.
By standing up for workers and speaking out against injustice.
And building a future of prosperity and progress for all.
No, no, and no. They're building a future and progress for them. $9 million home. $1,000 a plate dinners. Just for themselves. And enriching the ones that are giving them the campaign contributions from the farmers, the cartels, and everything that are providing, most likely, the brown paper bags, the sacks that keep showing up in their back porch. They got to build a bigger house. Because Jenny Poo keeps discovering all these richest farmland in the world. Walk outside the patio and there's all this green out here. Dang, where did this come from? How did we get so lucky to inherit or own some of the greenest fertile concrete on our back porch? It grows green on concrete. How could it? Impossible. No wonder she smiled. This is, again, they are cropping all over the legacy of Cesar Chavez. They are doing it not only to enrich themselves and the ones that have put them into power. And it's absolutely criminal and shameful. All under, oh, we're just here to help you. That's why you can't run on 147% emotions. Sometimes you got to deal. You should at least deal 50% in the reality world. That'd be a big start here. Maybe we're making it. Hopefully we are. We're showing the signs of progress. Trump is as popular as ever before, despite the establishment trying to throw every brickbat possible at the man. So that should give us hope. We shall see, but like we said, it's important that we all dig in, we all do that. Hopefully, we retain the 2 House seats coming up in Florida tomorrow. Maybe we'll pull off a miracle and win that Wisconsin Supreme Court justice, because that could mean 2 seats gone in 26 for redistricting. All this stuff is important, no matter where you're at. But Democrats play to win. Republicans are backing up. Democrats full steam ahead, dumping godzillion, millions, tens of millions of dollars in these 3 campaigns. Republicans got their thumb in their rear end. So I say it can't be. I don't know how it can be a Republican movement. It's got to be a MAGA movement. It's got to be an America First movement. I think the Republican Party, as we've seen it go today, is just, or probably worse corrupted than the rats. So in order to get out of the Stockholm syndrome, where you come to love your captor because you think it's the only way you survive, maybe people are finally at the point of, like the 3 percenters were in 1776, led by George Washington. And they said, F it. As Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death. We're going for it. And thank goodness they did, because they gave birth to the greatest country in the history of the world. And you don't want to be the generation, the people that look back on it and be tagged with, you're the one that let it all slip away. That would be a tragedy beyond the pale of that. It's hopefully we will learn our lesson. Before it's too late. We might, and there's also a possibility we might not, but we better start swinging. Or, as you know, I've been talking about standing up for our country, doing something. These big box stores stayed open while the little guys closed. Will our voices be heard? Does voting with our dollars work? PatriotSwitch.com gives patriots the power to walk away from the big box stores forever. Stop supporting the enemies of freedom now. That's why PatriotSwitch.com was created, for those who support America. PatriotSwitch.com. Is your car doing the hucklebuck and afraid you will be stuck? Well, head on down to Toyota of San Bernardino, Nissan of San Bernardino, Subaru of San Bernardino, and the San Bernardino Auto Mall, and catch a Camry, look ravishing in a Rogue, or be styling in a Subaru. Don't forget I-10 Toyota in Indio for those of you in the lower desert. You deserve to be the happiest human on the planet. So head on down to one of these 4 great dealerships for the car of your dreams. Spread the word. IE Newswire is now on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 p.m. on Rumble and KMET 1490 AM, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Join all the cool kids who want an eclectic look at the news without all the filters of the evil scoundrels of social media and the despicable dorks of the dominant press. Don't bumble and stumble. Subscribe to IE Newswire on Rumble and roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around. That's it. If you want to buy American, go to PatriotSwitch.com. Need a new Subaru or Toyota? Go to one of Cliff Cummings' great dealerships at San Bernardino Auto Mall at the 10, 2, 15. Hurry ways. Forget I-10 Toyota down in the lower desert. Oh, man. Hopefully we'll see if we can get Dr. Kelly to come in later in the week. She apparently didn't. She said it was like 50-50. She was getting out of a meeting today, obviously. It probably ran long, so hopefully we'll get her on later in the week, tomorrow or Thursday or Friday of that. Imperative that we not give up, that we not back up. I'm more optimistic now than I've probably ever been that we really got a chance to make fundamental, encouraging work for everybody, America first, to give you and everyone the greatest opportunity that you got in the world. And that's really all anyone should ask for. The rest of it is up to you. So, hopefully there'll be brighter days ahead. I think so. But we will live to fight another day. That'll do it for today. So we usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here 23 hours wide. You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid.
All right, Roy, take it easy. I will talk to you tomorrow.
You got it.